Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to yet another edition of the Lambom Show. Today is Wednesday, February 17th, 2021. And if you're a Catholic, the beginning of Lent, happy Ash Wednesday. I hope you have had the opportunity to take your Ash and you're prepared for the 40 days of fasting and prayer. And we are continuing our series on African immigrants and African development. We're continuing our conversations with Sir Okpa, and today promises to be a very electrifying conversation. We have chosen for our topic for today to talk about the selection, the appointment of Dr. Ngozi Okonjo Iweala, Nigerian American, as the director of the World Trade Organization. The celebration around the world, but most particularly amongst Africans, has been the first woman, the first African to head that institution. There's something to celebrate there. At least there's an African who is heading a World Trade Organization. And I mean, Dr. Ngozi is a very prominent African, especially within the international development, international finance, international economy world. At the time, a couple of years ago, she ran to be the president of the World Bank. That did not happen again because America they chose some other person. She returned to Nigeria, became a finance minister, and the whole pedigree. She has been leading the Gavi, the Alliance for Vaccines across the globe, until now that she has been selected to lead the World Trade Organization. And it was a very rigorous process. And I found it fascinating that of all the people there, you had an Egyptian too. You know, this is the thing about us Africans, that we like to fight each other. This is something that we thought that we could rally be around one candidate. But I think some African countries, if I'm not mistaken, a Kenyan and an Egyptian were also amongst those contending for this position. But finally, even when it came down to the two candidates, Dr. Ngozi and the lady from South Korea, the United States government at the time under Trump vetoed, I don't think that's the right word, but did not think that her nomination, that she qualified, so to speak. And that kept her nomination in limbo until now. The Biden administration has been able to push that through. But today we want to look at the significance of this. With me again, as always, every Wednesday is Ed Okpa. Ed Okpa is a businessman based in Dallas. And I want to say, I think I'll start off by finding out how Dallas is, because we know Texas, the whole of that region is under a blizzard, and I don't know whether Okpa has electricity at home, because we hear everything is down. But our conversation today is going to be very spirited because, as always, Ed Okpa has a different take about these things. And his main point is, instead of celebrating people, let us learn to celebrate institutions. Let us put in place institutions that can, foster the African agenda. And he has written a very brilliant piece, which is in the African, what is it again?
African Executive.
African Executive. And he goes in great detail to explain why we should not be, celebrating, going around just happy that somebody has been selected for this position. But let me welcome Sir Okpa. Welcome again, as always, another Wednesday. How are you today?
Well, thank you. Thank you for the expressed concern about the weather in Texas. I mean, these things happen, and we deal with it. 25 years, they said this is the coldest winter. Fortunately for us, where I live, we haven't had any issues. We have light, we have water. That's why I'm able to talk with you, because some places, my sister-in-law came over the other day with her, family, because they didn't even have power. So, thank God we are doing well. So, whether it's just one of those nature things, and when it comes, it comes. You can prepare all you want, but that Mother Nature force bigger than any technology.
Glad to hear that you are doing okay, and our hearts. We are the people in Texas. You are in our prayers. We too in the DC area, we have our own coming in tomorrow. It's been a very cold winter. This is the coldest I think we have had so far, and again we have snow coming our way. But like you say, that should not be something that prevents us from going on with life, isn't it? Life happens, things happen, and we go ahead. But today we want to talk about you are a Nigerian who lives in the United States and you prefer to be called an African because the way you have
I
expressed it
prefer to
on
be
this
called a Black African.
African, correct. So you have expressed it well
Europeans
on
came to
this.
America, they're white, so I'm Black African.
Correct. So again, but we can't deny the fact that you share a certain ancestry, a certain root in Nigeria with Ngozi. And Dr. Ngozi is an accomplished person by every record. I mean, academic she studied in Harvard and MIT, and she has led a couple of organizations around. And so by every estimation, she's very successful. And we should be rejoicing that one of us has acceded to such a position. And what is your beef with that?
All I'm trying to do is look, guys. She's not the first African, to head a world organization like that. She's a female. That is fine. It's inclusion. We're in the inclusion culture, so we finally got a female to head the World Trade Organization, and then she is Nigerian. She's African. I clap for her. I congratulate her. But just like the first African to drive a cab in Washington, D.C., what does that have to do with the price of bread? Okay, so we've got so many first and first and first. My point is, when you get all this first, how does it translate to impacting life in the continent? Look, Boutros Ghali has been the Secretary General of the UN. Okay, from there we get to what? We go to Kofi Annan from Ghana. And then what else did we do? We have had the OPEC Secretary General Lukman Lawani of Nigeria that had the oil organization. Even before Ngozi's name started to float around, nobody knew Ngozi until Obasanjo brought her out of obscurity. Okay. It wasn't like she was out there, writing papers. She was just a desk officer, staff, the World Bank. Obasanjo, and I can get into that with you. And I even know why she was not able to be World Bank president, because most people don't know the protocol on that. Okay, I get into it. But what I'm saying, even in 1996, a Zimbabwean-born gentleman was the first African to head the World Bank section on Africa. Go Google it. So it wasn't Ngozi. But where is Zimbabwe today? What has that got to do with Zimbabwe? Their currency was wiped out. This was even when Mugabe was in office. So you have all these Africans. Is it not an African that is the head of the World Health Organization? An Ethiopian. Go to hospitals in Ethiopia. You will not even put a dog in there. So what is this jumping up and down for individual accomplishments? I mean, if you have a PhD and you're able to apply for certain jobs, trust me, World Bank will pick you, or World Organization will get you. These are institutions that are not profit-driven. Nobody buys stock of the World Bank. Have you ever made a deposit over there?
No.
No. But so Africans come in, World Bank is an organization that if you look at it, even you and I that live in America, how many times has the president of the World Bank testified about the American economy? They don't even, America that hosts the World Bank in Washington, D.C., don't even invite them to make comment. But African countries jump up and down. Oh my God, I have some Cameroonians that work in the World Bank. I can give you their name. My point is, how does that translate to institution? Institutions make a country survive, not individuals, because they're going to fade away. Ngozi being on this position, she's not going to call the shots. She's a staff member. You know, the member nations decide what happens, and she can come in and make her own comment. She does not even vote on trade issues. Okay, she's an administrative person. So the celebration is in order. The women who say, "Oh, finally, somebody I went to school in Nigeria with, or my classmate over here is doing that." I am about the price of bread. How is that going to help Africa trade with the world or trade with themselves? She cannot effect that. As soon as she sits down on that job, boom, it's over with. The celebration is over with. So, but it is a good move. It's a good thing for the female. It's a good move for inclusion. It's a good move to see our native. I don't see a lot of Mexicans jumping up and down when a Mexican becomes something in America. Africans just get into the celebration. Just like when you have a black person get drafted to play football. Do you own the team? Do you own the team? No, you get happy, but somebody owns the team. Somebody decides what you're going to get paid. So this is where we need to go. How do we become a people that say, "Oh, okay, Lambert has become this, but geez, is that bringing light into my community? Is that making anything flow? What policy is this going to affect us? What policy is going to affect us because of where he or she is?" We just get caught up and say, "Oh, this." Look, I love the fact that other Africans, apply for the job. It shouldn't be, all Africans under one umbrella. I don't subscribe to that. It should be competitive. Whoever gets it, gets it. But at the end of the day, let me see how this benefits an African country. That's what I'm saying. 5 years from now, because this job is a contract. Okay, it's not a permanent job. And then I even tell you, a Nigerian was the Secretary General of Commonwealth. And back in the 90s, when Commonwealth kicked Nigeria out, that gentleman could not even stop it from happening. Okay, go Google it. Emeka Anyaoku.
Yeah.
I don't celebrate when somebody's looking for a job. Ngozi has a good resume that qualifies her for a lot of things. The reason she did not get the World Bank role, she was a staff. She was a staff. When you look at the two institutions, World Bank and IMF, European countries reserve the rights to appoint the IMF president. That French woman is there. She's been there as long as, they keep her. America reserve the rights to appoint what? World Bank president. And they don't appoint from within. They don't appoint a staff. So Ngozi was a staff member. And then she was in Nigeria at the time, working as finance minister. But here's the situation. Nigeria is supposed to be one of the largest countries in the world. You haven't tried to fix its financing, but you're looking for a job. Initially when Obasanjo brought her in 2003 or 4 or 5, somewhere in there, you know what she said? She said, "Hey, I don't even want to be paid in Naira. You got to pay me in dollar." Here you come in to be the finance minister of the most populous black nation in the world, and you demanded to be paid in a foreign currency. What does it tell you? She had no confidence in Nigeria. And she couldn't do anything. She didn't do anything. We can get into that. So it's good where she is, but I'm talking about facts about what her role has been in the positions she has held. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but Selpa, let me push back a little bit in terms of, you want to celebrate her. Maybe, just maybe, she would get into that position and be able to advise African countries on what
No, she cannot. She will not be able to, because that's not what the World Trade Organization does. You look at their function. That's not what it is. The World Trade Organization is basically, is in fact is a loosely gathered group of people. They have no enforcement or anything. Remember these trade issues going on between China and the US. The World Trade Organization hasn't been able to do anything because you're talking about two superpowers. And you're a tiny bit. What are you going to tell them to do? Okay, you might say whatever you want. They're not going to do it. Trade by nature is something two people have to agree on. When something, say, "Hey, we can't resolve it, well, let's go to a third party." That's what the trade organization does. But the trade organization cannot force any country to trade with one another. They can't. They have no right. American government cannot even tell ExxonMobil go over there and do business. ExxonMobil has to want to go over there, and then maybe they can look for U.S. Government support. But they can't tell any company to go do business in another country. So the World Trade Organization cannot tell any country what to trade and who to trade with. They cannot, because it's a natural thing. If Cameroon wants to trade with Nigeria or vice versa, it becomes two things. It becomes bilateral trade, and then they deal with their own conditions. But if there's a dispute, you could say, okay, if you can't resolve it with the two, then you seek somebody else. Just like you have the World Court of Justice. An African, the first justice to go to the World Court of Justice was a Nigerian in 1960. How has that improved justice system in Nigeria?
So, again, for me, I think you are setting a standard of judgment which is maybe expecting too much in terms of the fact of somebody going to an institution like that does not necessarily translate into how the country is fixed. That's a different standard. The fact of somebody going into that position by itself is an accomplishment, isn't it? It's a great accomplishment.
No. Again, I want your audience to understand this. If you get a job now, hey, congratulations, is all I'm going to get from you. But then at the end, it's like, okay, what does that got to do with anything? Look, we can't even be jumping up and down. The highest African, now somebody who has an African direct ancestry, is Obama. You can't go higher than the President of America. What happened with that 8 years in office? And then you're going to jump up and down about somebody being a UN secretary or somebody being a World Bank president or somebody being a WTO secretary general or who? But Obama was somebody who said directly connected to Kenya. So my thing is, what institutions are going to come out of the positions that we occupy? It's not just being there. It's a job. If you have the qualification, you can apply. And then you go through the processes of being screened and the politics and the push. That's what it takes of all these jobs. If to get a job with what is their name, World Bank, or if you have a PhD, I don't care whether it's PhD in street cleaning, you can get a job with World Bank. But the point is, these institutions are not profit making. They just push policies. Oh, this is what you guys gotta do. Countries that are successful don't go to the World Bank. Countries that are successful. Let me even tell you about the World Bank. If you look at the total loan capacity the World Bank makes on an annual basis is about $60 billion or $70 billion. And they have interest in over 100 countries. So what does that tell you? They can't even make $1 billion to a country in a loan. Bank of America alone makes about $1 billion loan daily basis. Okay? You haven't even considered Chase, Wells Fargo, and some other institutions. And then we're jumping up and down about World Bank. African is at the World Bank. Come on, guys. Poor people celebrate individuals. Rich nations celebrate institutions. Africans are caught up, just like if an African is drafted to go play football in Europe, everybody says, oh my God, why don't you build your teams in Africa? Let Europeans come play over there.
Yeah, but again, like I keep saying, that's a good standard, but you have to start from somewhere. So maybe we start with
celebrating jobs that don't bring a collateral value to your country, is what I'm saying. These things don't bring collateral value. It's not going to be where, okay, now we have the African Trade Organization. Why didn't she look for the job for the African trade? She was the World Bank, because that's Ngozi was this thing that I'm glorifying. I'm the first woman to do this. I'm the first to do that. That's fine. You get all that first. But when she was in Nigeria, she couldn't even stabilize the Nigerian naira. Lambert, in 1999, okay, at the end of the military rule in Nigeria, if you had 1 million naira, are you writing this thing down or your audience? If you had 1 million naira in 1999, okay, you had an equivalent of $12,000. In 2006,
1 million naira.
It was an equivalent of $12,000.
12,000. Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then in 2006, 5, at the height of the Gulf War, when Nigeria made the most money out of selling oil, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala was the finance minister. Okay?
Right.
So, Obasanjo, the president, then asked her to go ahead and help to reduce, some of the foreign debt for Nigeria. She was able to do it. But she was able to do it not because of the policy she put in place. She was able to do it because, they know how to say, okay, fine, we'll do this thing for you, so that you can look good. But the Naira value never improved. So today, if you have 1 million Naira, Lambert, in Nigeria, how much dollar do you get? $2,200. So in 22 years, we have had Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as finance minister and even coordinating minister for the economy. The Naira has lost value. Tell me one policy she put in place to stabilize the Naira. She didn't. She couldn't because she has no understanding of finance. They say she went to Harvard. She didn't study finance. She was a human resources somebody who happens to have a PhD. Africans don't look into these things. They just say, oh, PhD from Harvard. Hey, the woman who was president of Liberia, what is her name? Salif Johnson?
Yes.
Wasn't she Harvard? And she was there for 12 years. How has Liberia jumped from their situation?
There was.
And now you have a footballer. You have a footballer now after her.
Yes, sir. Again, I agree that, there's some value. You can't take away the fact that there's some
value, but the value is not a value in exchange. Remember, there are two values. There's intrinsic value. Africans celebrate intrinsic value. Hey, you wear your colorful things, everybody's jumping up and down, oh, you're so good. But what's the value in exchange? Is anybody willing to pay you for that shirt? If I pay you for that shirt, that means there's a value in exchange. But I could just love your shirt and I say, oh, that's fine. Oh, I'm clapping for her. And any African who is in that position or who is going to be in that position. I'm giving you the example. When Kofi Annan was Secretary General of, UN?
Mm-hmm.
Cameroon. What is their name? Congo.
Ghana.
No. Congo has had UN peacekeeping force for decades. What happened with that? He couldn't even effect the change of removing them or finding a solution for the situation. Israel and Palestine have been fighting God knows how long. They said, we don't want UN peacekeeping force. So, okay, fine. But Africans get peacekeeping force and everybody's jumping up and down, but your own son or daughter is UN, running the agency, but you have no power. Because the 7-member Security Council can veto you. You do what they tell you to do, or they fire you. That's why they fired. What is his name? They had him. They had him retire. What is his name? Kofi Annan. He was told to get out, or they fire him. And then he became miserable. And then after that, he could never recover. He died. So what I'm saying is, if you are in these positions, it's good to be there, but it does not take the place of institutions that we need to build in the various nations. It does not take the place of it.
Right. So let's get back to the thing about institutions. You're talking about institutions. It's as if institutions on their own are going to perpetrate what you want. Institutions need people within them in order to build them. So if you have a person like Ngozi who is a person and she's able to build an institution, I think the institution will outlast her. But it seems to give them, that's why.
But she hasn't been able to build any. Ngozi didn't pop up overnight. Ngozi is in her 60s. She was in the World Bank. She had a role. In fact, she went from being finance minister, and Obasanjo was disappointed with her, made her foreign minister, and she left. Okay? And then Jonathan brought her back. And when Jonathan brought her back, Ngozi is fond of making demands. In the first time Obasanjo brought her, she said, hey, you got to pay me in the dollar. And Obasanjo, acquiesced to that. And then Jonathan, she said, oh, I'm not only going to be minister for finance, I also want to have another title, coordinating minister for the economy. So she had like a two portfolio. But you know what? During the time she was doing all of that, the Nigerian foreign minister, Dizani Alison Marike, stole the most money from the Ministry of Petroleum. She's on the run in London. So how come she couldn't she couldn't stop her from doing that? So how is she able to build institution? The way you do it, you put things in place that would be hard for anybody to do the same thing. And then if they're not going to put it, you resign. Ngozi has never resigned from any position. She's always sought positions. If I go into a position and I say, this is what is going to be good for that country, and the president don't want to do it, I say, you know what, thank you, have the job. I'm out. But she's never done that. So all she's doing is, okay, let me go back to the World Bank. You know why she didn't go? She did it because Obama at the time had already made a decision on who's going to be the president of the World Bank. Because it was still, jumping up and down. I have the qualifications and blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And then Jonathan was pushing for it. Zuma, was pushing for it. When the president of America decides on the position of the World Bank, out of courtesy, everybody backs off. If you remember, at the time, there were 3 candidates. There was a Colombian gentleman who used to work for the World Bank, but back in Colombia as finance minister. Ngozi, the same thing. And then Obama chose the Korean guy, Dr. Kim, South Korean guy, who ended up being the president of the World Bank. Because the president of the World Bank does not need a Senate confirmation. So once the president of America said, this is my candidate, everybody out of courtesy backs up. You can still have your application because it was caught up on this, I'm qualified. Okay, fine. At the end, she didn't get it. And that caused a relationship between Obama and Jonathan, because Jonathan should have said, Ngozi, withdraw. Instead, Jonathan, being naive, and Zuma in South Africa thought this was going to be a brand point for them, were encouraging her, and then she was disgraced out of it. She's not that very. Look, her PhD is fine. She sat in a classroom. She got a bunch of degrees. That's good. But when you meet her in person, she's not a very convincing individual. She's not very persuasive. No, I'm telling you, she's not very persuasive. She will put the PhD out there, but when you start to challenge her on critical issues, she's not that very good.
So this is what somebody in the audience has written. She arrived in the US in 1973 as a teenager to study at Harvard University, graduating magna cum laude with an AB in economics in 1976. In 1981, she earned her doctorate degree in. So, I mean, you are talking about
I know all of that. I said my cousin, my niece, had the same sort of something. She's back in Nigeria working for the UBA. So because somebody sat in a classroom and memorized stuff and taking tests, that doesn't do anything for me.
Okay. So again, I just believe that all these things, her degree, her education, her training,
that is good for the job. How come when she left as finance minister of Nigeria, no profit-making institution ever wanted to hire her? Nobody. Bank of America will not hire her. Chase Bank will not hire her. Wall Street will not hire her because she doesn't know anything about production. She's good with administrative stuff in places like UN, World Bank, and the World Trade Organization. But if you're going to want to make money and write policy, you're not hiring her, does it? Because she's clueless on it. I'm telling you. I'm not being personal. I'm giving you facts. Since her career, okay, if she was successful, you know what she could have done? You were the finance minister of the most populous Black nation. She should have set up a consulting firm and start going around Africa to teach them how to get their finances in order. She would have made more money and be more effective doing that than looking for next job.
No, I think it's a choice, isn't it?
No, it's a choice. That's what I'm saying. I'm not part of that group jumping up and down about her because I know better. You know what I did when I was at FDIC? I brought Black people into having contract. I wrote policies. I challenged the status quo. You come, I give you a letter from the Congress, and I'm not pushing out my degree. Effectiveness. I saw opportunity. I became the first Native African to be certified as an president instead of Texas. I got many people into it. It's not all this other stuff. I'm saying production. Show me production. Not going from desk job to desk job. All that. I'm just saying, Let us 2 years from now, when we have this conversation, let's see one African country that will say, oh, we have improved on our trade because an African is the head of the World Trade Organization. That's what I will not, apologize to you, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, but my point here is rather that you kind of, the fact that that may not happen may not be because she has not tried. It may also be the unwillingness
Because
of
she
the
does
others.
not own the institution, Lambert. I'm telling you, look at UN. World Trade Organization is similar to UN, and Africans have been over there. Okay, so it's not like this is the first time an African has headed a world organization. This is not the first time. From the 60s, go look at the record. Africans don't read. They just sit there and they look at a little news thing and everybody, oh my God, they go to the beer parlor, start clapping. For 50 years, Africans have played a role in world organizations. How has that helped Africa in the 21st century? Is our currencies doing well? Our trade between ourselves doing well? Are we creating companies? Are there, if you go to Cameroon, Nigeria has what? Nigeria has, one of the largest stock exchange. There are 328 companies listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange that was formed in 1961. No company is worth $1 billion on the average. You know the total capital value of that, of all the companies listed? $56 billion, Lambert. You go to Ghana, it's only 42 companies that are listed on their stock exchange. And what is it worth? Some kind of number. That's what impacts Africa, not because one individual is sitting at a desk and people are clapping and you're rejoicing. Show me, if you want to invest in Cameroon Stock Exchange, what stock are you buying? What has that got to do with UN, World Bank, and WHO? What is the health standards in Africa? Even though an African is head of the World Health Organization. That's why I'm different from most people. I'm not jealous. I'm not envious. I'm just saying, I lived in America. I look at how they build institutions. If an American is head of the World Bank, we ain't going to be having any toast for that. But an African jumps in there, oh my God, like, oh, Jesus has come back again. Talk about what impacts life. Not one individual, making a class, what is a grade, first class in a degree. You know how many Africans have graduated on top of their class in universities? There are a ton of them. But then after they hand you that paper, what did you create? What did you produce? That's where I am. I'm happy for her. I have written these articles that are published. Let people begin to see this is what matters, not one individual. Individual accomplishments don't make a society. Africans have gotten too distracted, about that, as opposed to saying, how does the government in my country work? How do I invest in these companies owned by in my country so that if the company is doing well, I'm going to do well. That is how wealth is. That's why you have stock exchange. Okay? You put money in these companies. If they're doing well, you're doing well. And then the economy is doing well, they're paying taxes and they're creating jobs. So how many jobs are going to be created in Africa because of, Okonjo Iweala at World Trade Organization? Tell me that number.
That is not why she's director of the World Trade Organization.
Just let her be. We congratulate her, but it does not change anything, is what I'm saying. And I've given you an example. A Zimbabwean guy was the first African to head World Bank African division. So what happened to Zimbabwe?
So there's a question here for you.
Yes.
What are your expectations of Ms. Ngozi?
I have none.
Should she
I'd rather go to
resign?
Nigeria and deal with institutions and build it. You know what I'm doing now? And a major engineering firm has just hired me to help them do water system in Africa. That is what I am happy about, because that is practical. That's going to impact life. So I'm going to go to these 5 African countries and I'm going to recruit engineers on how to do this. I don't want to have a job title. Remember? The last job title I had was regional president manager for FDIC. I want to produce. So I have no expectation of her. I'm wishing her well. I hope she survives there. She's going to get a good retirement. She will never be looking for food, shelter, and clothing. But geez, what has that got to do with Cameroon and Nigeria trading? What's that?
If you are just joining us, you are on the Lambom Show. And again, today we are continuing our conversations on um, African immigrants and African development. And we are looking at the appointment, the selection of Dr. Ngozi Okonjo Iweala as the director of the World Trade Organization. The first.
Iweala.
Iweala. Thank you for okay. Thank you for correcting
I
that.
don't call her doctor. I call her Madam Ngozi.
Why don't you want to respect her title?
No. Just like I don't call anybody, I don't call Mr. President in America, Your Excellency. I say Mr. President. That's even more dignifying. So what is this about, doctor? I'm not a patient. I'm not a patient.
I don't want to take you down the road of Dr. Jill Biden and the controversy.
Hey,
I don't want to.
People who have very little self-esteem, they look for title. Hey, the richest people in the world, you know what? Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, they don't go around professor, they promote their name. Okay? So I promote your name. If you have something to do, your name is more than the title.
Right. So let's focus on the second part of this conversation on, okay, so institutions. And you just gave an example of a firm, and you're now going to help some countries in building their water systems.
Yes.
That's because you have positioned yourself. You have done things, positioned yourself. What is wrong with, call it, African immigrants in the United States being unable to contribute towards the development of the continent? I mean, we have talked about policies before, right? A policy and all that. The continent itself makes it difficult, isn't it? So that's why I find it difficult to see why you will be criticizing Ngozi, because I think the system itself makes it difficult for people like that.
The system doesn't make anything difficult. The system is, again, institutions are people. I mean, institutions, come about because of people. But you have to understand the system. You have to understand the institution. Okay, who controls what? This engineering firm, because I read the article about the project they are doing, I approached them. And then in that approach, I traveled to San Antonio, Texas. I didn't know them. I just called them. I said, hey, I read about what you guys are doing. I think I can add value to you. They said, come on down. So I went and I met with their vice president and some other guy. We talked. Today we had a Zoom call to follow up. And I said, this is what I think I can do for you guys in order to do X, Y, Z. And they're loving it. So you have to bring something to the table. I mean, African immigrants, a lot of people came to this country or are in this country, they get their degree, which is fine. You have to know ABCD, but are you confident to even challenge yourself about certain things? Are you able to send a cold, email to executive in a company and say, hey, this is what I can do, or say, hey, I'm looking for a job. If you're looking for a job, they say, well, we push your resume to the hiring people. I'm never looking for a job, Lambert. I don't look for a job. The last time anybody offered me a job was 1990. Was that? How many years ago was that? I have created jobs for me because I go after my interest. So you can copy and paste. I'm not saying everybody's going to be out there doing what I'm doing, but I'm just saying if you want to get into a job of 8 to 5, go for 8 to 5. But what impacts a society is the change, the transformation, and not the title jobs. People in government, what are they doing? They're pushing policies. You're going to have to find out, how do I take this policy to make a difference? Another thing I'm even working on for you, if you want to know, is, this digital divide project, digital divide in communities in America?
Yeah.
Where communities, majority of them in rural areas and poor communities don't have access to internet.
Right.
Yeah. I just created a group of white people, Americans, for us to go address that issue. I can share that with you. And I do it by policy. And now we've secured, major companies wanting to be part of it. That's what I like to do. I mean, not in a shoot. When my sister was a first lady in Nigeria because her husband was a governor, 1996, and they say, "Hey, come home, let's make you a minister." I said, "No, I'm not coming." I said, "I don't like military people. I am very vocal. I don't want to get over there and the governor is doing something and I say something all of a sudden, oh, I'm causing trouble." I said, you all can have it. And I was out. But now, because of what I bring to the table, everybody's interested. As we're talking, I got a call from a Nigerian senator because of a policy initiative I'm pushing for Nigerian police. Am I a police guy? No, but I've been through the Dallas Police Academy Citizens Program. I've been through the FBI. I have 60 hours of law enforcement understanding. Did you get that from a classroom? Am I going to put up a degree or in a criminal justice something? No, it's practical. It's practical. What is your interest?
But
my interest is not driven by my degree. I studied real estate. That's what I studied.
Don't you think you are the exception?
My exception is not because God loved me more than anybody. I made it. I didn't sit in my house and all of this is happening. I stepped out there and started doing it. So somebody can actually copy and paste and do more than I have done. I share these things to inspire. I share these things to motivate. I share these things to say, guys, you are in America. This is a nation that is an ocean. You have a bucket. How much water do you want to fetch? And fetching that water is confident. No Americans ever asked me about my degree. Nobody ever say, oh, let me see your degree. They hire me based on what that comes out of my mouth. Let me tell you how I got some of my first real estate jobs in this country. My dad was a political figure and he was in real estate. So when I go for those job interviews, you know what I did? I would take his business card. I would take my father's business card. So when they go, okay, Mr. Okpa, we see your application. What do you tell us about yourself? I always say, okay, can I pass this business card around? They say, sure, because I had his card and my friend, like father, like son. And they go through my father's business card and they say, he was doing everything that we do in real estate in America. I said, yeah. Lambert, you know what comes out of that?
Yeah.
It's no longer an interview, it becomes a conversation. Oh, tell us more about you. And I start telling them. And then the next thing is like, oh, we forget this is an interview. What would it take for you to come join us? And they'll say, hey, this is what it would take. I have never been interviewed. Instead, I have conversations because I make it into a storytelling. That's the difference. Okay, I was a student when I took tests. Now I want to be a scholar. And you know why you're a scholar? Because I'm not taking anybody's test. I read, to inform me, to give me more information, not more than anybody, but at least to be practical when I have conversation with people. That's why a lot of these things happen to me, because when I call people and say, hey, let's work on this thing, they see the merit of working on it. Have I said how much money I'm going to make? I don't discuss money, but I discuss projects, because those projects are going to be based on institutions that are going to be funding them. So that's the conversation I want to have with Africans in America, and not somebody getting a job. Obviously, how many world organizations are we going to have? Just one. So it's over with. How many secretary generals of UN are we going to have? Just one. That's over with. How many presidents of America? One. Obama did it, and then what? What has happened to Kenya? Is Kenya now ahead of everybody else? Heck no. Because if Kenya had institutions, whether Obama was president or not, things will still be going on. But they don't have institutions. Yeah. So a Nigerian can become president of America, and then what? Is it going to change the fact that they don't build roads? It's not going to change that.
So let me ask the question in another way, sir. So do you think I should be concerned about developing Africa, or just, I'm comfortable here in the United States, so why not just concentrate on doing?
What you got to do is, you can't be in two places at the same time. Nobody has that ability. Okay, so you strengthen yourself in America. You get comfortable. Don't ever let anybody jump on your back when you don't have a strong spine, because of both of you are going to crash. Don't do things out of emotion. Do it out of strength and strategy. So You got to strengthen yourself. Like I said, when my sister was first lady, her husband was a governor in Nigeria, I could have gone home to go do what Nigerians do when their own person is in office. But I said, no, I'm not interested. I was happy for them, but I said, I'm not going because I know me. I don't function in an environment where, I have to depend on the individual for a decision to be made. You know how, for instance, if you go to Nigeria and do a contract, and it's time to pay you, do you get your check? You got to chase the minister. You got to chase the president. But Lambert in America, the electric company is my client. When I do work for them, I don't even see them. They just send me the check with a note, thank you for your business. But if it's in Nigeria, oh my God, I got to chase the finance minister, the accountant general, and I'm going to be up and down, begging them, pleading them. There's certain things we have to do. So yes, be in America, strengthen yourself mentally, so that when you start to talk about things you want to do in Africa, you can decide what it is you want to do. Like now, I want to do this water something. I'm not an engineer, but I can talk about water because I recognize the economic benefit and impact of having a water system as opposed to water supply. Africa has water supply. They don't have water system. I said, there's a difference. And you cannot be an economically viable society if you don't have water system. You can't.
So again, I want to use two examples from Africa itself. The chairman of the African Union Commission is Chadian, and the president of the African Development Bank is a Nigerian.
Yes.
Those are two individuals within two African institutions. I can see maybe Dr. Adesina has done a good job, isn't it, with the opportunities he has created to raise the profile of agriculture in Africa.
Heck no. How much? Okay, because again, when you say profile, we got to look at this. We got to track it with numbers. I'm a number guy. So you go in, Lambert, you can do it, and we can have this as our next conversation next week. Let's see the export of African agricultural produce to America, country by country. Let's see that. Adesina, again, is another type of Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who studied here. He's looking for a job. I think he worked for UN, and then he became agricultural minister in Nigeria. And then when that was over with, he got his job at Development Bank. Do you even know what a development bank does? Do you want me to go into that?
If you want to. I mean, the problem is that
a development bank is not like your Bank of America. A development bank is more like, okay, let's all put money together to go help these people out. You don't buy shares in a development bank. It's not listed. Africans need companies that are going to be listed so that the Africans can buy shares into it. And you have good governance, because with the amount of money that those the shareholders and people who have the stockholders do create the volume. So when you have development bank, what is it? Why is it that when Adesina's renewal was coming up, America had a say in it? Because America is invested in that bank. America put some money in there, so they have a say in the governance of the bank. So development bank, again, is like the World Bank. You don't need it. You need Bank of Cameroon to be the significant engine that directs investment in Cameroon. Bank of Nigeria or Central, whatever, something like that, or Bank of South Africa. Not Development Bank. Come on. See, again, that's why Africans are so naive and ignorant, because they hear these things, because it sounds big. And they think, oh, Adesina is over there. Adesina, again, if he wants to make a loan, he has to go through the board. He doesn't say, okay, let's go over there and do it. There's a board of directors that control what he does. Okay? So is that an institution? No, I'm talking about institutions that you can invest in.
So, but I mean, you seem to be jumping ahead, isn't it? Because again, even with this, the African Development Bank can create the conditions whereby we can build the institutions within the countries.
No,
It
they
doesn't need
can't.
to
They
be.
can't because that's not their role. The Bank of Cameroon should be the ones, or financial institutions or insurance institutions in Cameroon should be the ones doing the economic development because they have Cameroon money. They should be the one engaging the Cameroon parliament on the exchange rate, on the interest rate, on how to create money out of financial institution, a financial instrument. But we don't do it. You see, the reason Africa is what it is, Africa is a cash economy. Okay? Cash is finite. Credit is infinite. I explained that to you, the rubber band issue.
Yeah, yeah,
So when you
yeah.
have a dollar, you have a dollar. But if you have a credit that extends the benefit of that dollar, it could be, hey, because you have a dollar, you could get up to 5 times X. It's money is thin money. So Africa is cash constant. Everything is cash. So we haven't built the institution. So if you go to Cameroon and the Cameroon government said, okay, we're going to give you, a credit for you to go in and build our water system. Nobody's going to honor that. Nobody's going to honor that because there's no institution. This is all based on the will of whoever the president is, any particular African country. But in America, if I go in and a city of Dallas gives me a tax credit of $1 million, I can go borrow $10 million. It's financial instrument. That's what Africans need to go, not World Bank, not African Development Bank. So build your own institutions. I want to buy shares in a Bank of Cameroon because it's run very well. I can buy 10,000 shares, and Africans all over the world can buy. And then they have that money and they use it to invest in projects in Cameroon. And those projects are beginning to make returns. Investors get money. Cameroon grows.
So I am not sure you want to buy stocks in the Bank of Cameroon. You should.
No, but I'm just saying because it's individuals.
I understand the point you're making. I'm saying Cameroon is not a good example because that money is just going to be.
Let's even talk about UBA. In Nigeria, one of the oldest banks is Union Bank. Okay, Union Bank. Union Bank used to be Barclays Bank of Nigeria. You know the value of that bank? I think it's $56 million. A bank that has existed in Nigeria for more than 100 years. $56 million. Or something somewhere in that neighborhood. Or 50. It's not even a billion is what I'm saying. So there are companies. There are companies you invest in. If you go to African countries, do we have utility companies, electric companies? Electric companies. Water companies in Africa, water companies here are municipal authorities. So we don't buy stock or shares in water. But in electric, they're publicly traded because you pay utilities. And when they have this money, they build your transmission lines, they build your power stations, they do all these things, and they ensure that electricity is constant. Africa wants to do it, the Minister for Power. Have you ever had an American person say they call Minister for Power? Even the Energy Secretary is not about it. They do research and publications on energy. It's not like they're going to control what happens with electricity. But the Minister of Power in Nigeria, is all about electricity. They can say, "Oh, don't give these people electric. Yeah, they didn't vote for me," and then everybody's clapping because again, the whole thing is about the individual, the power of the individual, not the institution.
So there's a personal question here from somebody. Are you ready for it?
If they insult me, I pay them back.
In 2019, he was appointed by Export-Import Bank of the United States as a member of the 2019 Sub-Saharan Africa Advisory Committee. I'm curious what he achieved in that position.
Oh yeah, that's why this American company is asking me to go to Africa and help them build this water system. And I didn't get any publicity as all that stuff. And I'm the one that, again, there's a Nigerian group that wants to buy helicopters in America. I am the one helping them do. You see, I do these things, and I'm not going to put it out there because I know how to go about getting things done. Okay, let me even tell you, I'm working with an American university, okay, to write a new policy on public safety for African police departments, on how we can bring the police, because you can't have a thriving economy if public safety is a concern. Africans don't know that. If you're afraid, for instance, to go to Nigeria, why would you invest there? So now I recognize that, and then I went in and I started talking to some institutions, universities, and say, hey, let us come up with a way to address the issue of public safety, and then work with African countries' police department or police force in order to say, hey, here are some recommendations in order for you to do what? To be able to attract investment. Lambert is about investment. So why can't I invest in Cameroon? Why can't I invest in Congo or anywhere? Because I'm looking for where my money will grow. But I have to find those institutions that are, hey, when I put my money there, when I invest in mutual fund in America, I don't need to know who the CEO is. But I'm looking at the fact that, hey, this is the returns they are making. Am I going to invest in the World Trade Organization? Heck no. I don't know what they do. I can't even put money there. Am I going to invest in UN? No. In the World Bank? No. I cannot invest. But if you have millions of Africans that are in America investing in a company, $100 a month for 1 year, you know how much, you have billions of dollars worth of company. But where is that company? Where is that company? Doesn't it exist? Instead, we are chasing titles and desk jobs to clap for somebody who spent 20 years getting a degree. And then at the end, when they leave off, you know why I work for myself? My father told me, my father said, I hope you're not going to America to be a civil servant. I can do all of that in Nigeria. That singular statement my father gave me in 1989 made me come back here and say, I'm not going to work for anybody. I started fending for myself. So, at the end of the day, the Secretary General of World, whatever, is going to retire, is he not? They don't own it. And somebody else is going to, I don't even know how long they stay in there. Is it a 4-year or 5-year term? At the end, you're going to go. But if you own that company, guess what? Ngozi's kids are not going to inherit the World Trade Organization. But if Ngozi builds a company, the kids can inherit it and the company can grow like the Ford company. Okay? So that's what I'm talking about. Build it beyond your own life expectancy.
So another question for you, if you can leverage your father's ingenuity and impeccable resume in real estate to sharpen your marketability, why can Nigerians not read from your playbook and leverage Ngozi's stewardship at WTO to achieve similar results?
Because, hey, thank you for that question. In the Bible, there's a saying in the Bible, no prophet has honor in their village. Africans don't recognize their own prophet. Okay? So what it is that if I were a white man go to Nigeria, they would be paying money to listen to me. But since it's in Nigeria, heck no, we're not going to listen to him. That's where the tribal, local things happen. So my point again, let's not even talk about Nigeria. Let's talk about USA. For those of us that are here, we are fortunate to be in a country that is considered the number one in the world, whether we like it or not. What are we doing with ourselves? How are we networking? How are we leveraging what we know? How are we creating that partnership, joint venture, LLC, and investing in each other to promote what each one of us is capable of doing? So that's what it is. We are not that kind of race, and you can find that with Black Americans. How many Black people are in business together? They are busy chasing CEO of companies. Oh, a Black guy is the CEO of AT&T, but you don't even have telephone access in your neighborhood. A Black guy is the CEO of American Express, and then what? You don't even have credit cards. A Black guy is the CEO of JCPenney, and then what? You don't have JCPenney in your neighborhood because you don't own those things. Isn't that what Africans are doing? Oh, an African is over here. Tell me, what has that done for the African? Since we have existed on this planet Earth with everybody else, is there any university in America or in the world an African hasn't graduated from? Hmm?
No.
Okay. So when they give you that paper, how come the American who was a C student will come out here and start to run circles around you while you're there, talking about you graduated first class or number this or number that. I mean, look at Asians. This what is that thing they do? Pedicure, manicure. You know
Yeah.
how much billions that is in America? It's
Mhm.
almost $50 billion. Just people doing nails. So what industry do we dominate, even with all our degree? Don't they say the African immigrants are the ones that graduate on top of their classes in every school in America? Hmm?
We have the best doctors and the best
I said, but
nurses.
we don't own hospitals. We are just bedside practitioners. I mean, and you don't even have to be, you don't have to be a doctor to own a hospital in America. Lambert, let me
uh,
tell you what I'm working on today. Okay?
yeah.
This vaccine stuff. Again, another American company approached me out of Nebraska on how to deliver these vaccines to communities where they are having difficulty getting it. I created the formula for them. I brought in, the group, boom. Guess what? They pay me, and I don't have to do anything. People pay for knowledge. Africans don't pay for knowledge. America, that's why they say consulting and advice. I'm on the advisory committee. I say, hey, here's what you guys can do. Africans don't pay attention to that. So when you have information that as a white boy, I do things within America. You know what he told me when they said, Edward, we're not in the real estate business, we're in the information business. When you have information in America and you know how to articulate it, you can do stuff with it. And Africans don't know how to even get. America is driven by policies and regulations. So you have to have information on those things. I mean, was it not last week this company called me, hey, we are doing this thing for vaccines, we have mobile units, can you help us get it into Texas? I said, let me think about it. Boom, now they signed me up. I don't care what you do. Just tell me what you want to get done. I can sell ice to the Eskimos. I just tell me to go sell it to them, and I can convince them to check out my ice. That's what you need to do in everything you do. Lambert, there are two things we do in life. We sell within life to make money. What are those things? Service or product. That's it. Service and product. That's what people buy. But people have to see you believable, credible information, adding value to what they are doing. So this company that approached me that are doing this mobile unit, I added value to them. I said, no, your model is this. How about this? By what time? We had a 2 o'clock conference call. I showed them how we can make $17 million in 3 months. It's a business model they weren't even thinking about. Am I going to get money out of it? Shoot. If I help you buy a cow, you better give me some good part of the meat. That's what you gotta do. That's what people are going to pay you in America, is being able to give value. Remember, we have had this conversation. America is a country driven by what? Value.
Mhm.
If you're wearing all this, your African attire, it has no value to them. That's why they're not buying it. But if they see value in it, they buy it. So what value are you bringing? Or you just want to go for show up there and say, oh, I'm a minority, you guys have been discriminating against me. Let's help you. Remember the story in the Bible? Somebody had a feast and had a
Mhm.
guest, but it didn't show up. He now went out and got everybody on the street.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. So when you that's what they would do for you. If you ain't bringing anything, they say, okay, hold on, let me finish with this people, and I'll give you something. So come to the party with something, no matter what it is, even if it's 1%. I want and I hope and I pray I'm accessible. Let them call me. Let them come see what I do. I don't hide myself. I will never tell you I'm a billionaire, a millionaire. I don't, but I take pride in the things that I do that create opportunities and value for people, to solving problems. Anything you have to do, you have to be able to solve a problem. I love the water issue because most African countries don't have water system. I mean, you can attest to that. Am I lying about that?
No, you're not.
Okay. And you know, Lambert, you cannot have a healthy environment or an agricultural production facility if you don't have water. After air, what else is next in line? Is it not water?
It is.
We can do without electricity, but you cannot do without water. And if you don't have it in a system, then you have limited your ability to grow your economy. You know how many gallons of water it takes to process a chicken?
No.
5 gallons.
Wow.
So if you say you have a chicken poultry of processing, okay, where's your water to process that?
So, Dr. Chumechu, I hope you're doing well. Says very true. I like your idea of bringing value to the table.
That's what it is about. That's what it is. Thank you, Mr. Whatever your name, for saying that. Anything I'm saying that I'm saying as a Black African, I'm saying it as somebody who came to this country. My accent is still in the place. But you know what? When I told people I'm going to get into real estate, and I gave myself 2 years, Lambert, I say if I don't get into real estate in America in 2 years, I was going back to Nigeria. My uncle, who is my mom's brother, who helped me come to America. You know what? He said, oh, man, oh, no, you can't do it that way. I told him, shut up. I cut him off. I gave myself 2 years. And Lambert, in 2 years, I got into real estate. I got into that job and I said, 2 years is all I'm going to give this company. I'm going to go do something else. Before 2 years was up, I went to work for FDIC. I got into FDIC. I said, I don't want to be a civil servant. I just want to learn the system. 2 years, I was done. Boom. I went out. My father said, oh, you went to America to be a civil servant. You can do that in Nigeria. I went and resigned. In 1990, I was earning $60,000. Do the math. As an immigrant who just came. I had no students loan. I have never borrowed money to go to school. I was even driving a Mercedes Benz in 1990. But once my father said that to me, I was done. I said, you all can have the title. I'm going to go do something for AGK, for Okpa. That's why today, if you come to Dallas City Hall and say Okpa, everybody on City Council knows me. Okay? You build your brand. Start with the city where you live in. Invest in relationships, not for people you go drinking with. You know, as long as you guys are drinking and giving each other value, fine. But if you just drink it so they can talk about your mansion in your village, don't invite me. I ain't showing up. Let's have a formidable group of first Black Africans in America. White people came, Italians came here, you know, English people came here, and French people. What do they become? White people. It's the African that comes to America and says, oh, I'm still Nigerian, I'm still Cameroonian, I'm still, you know, no. Let's be Black Africans. And see and look beyond the tribal identity and the country we are. Because, you know, hey, if you and I are traveling now, we're not going to carry Cameroonian or Nigerian passport. What are we going to carry? American passport, is it not?
It is.
So that's a unifying something over there. So I should be able to come to Cameroon, regardless I wasn't born there, and invest if the environment and the institutions are there. So let's build that institution, or even talk about how to build that institution. And we congratulate any one of us who gets a good job. But if you get a good job, and then so what? You know what? You know, okay, go look at her staff. She may be allowed 2 or 3 people, you know, to work for her. Every other person, you know, she's not gonna. You know what I mean? That's right. What I'm saying. That's it. You get a good salary, but the World Trade Organization has no impact on the world. You know the volume of trade between Texas and Mexico?
No.
It's about $28 billion a day. Do you think they're going to go call World Trade Organization if they have issues about that? No. I'm just saying, if you and I are trading bilateral, we don't, and then we are doing it well. We recognize each other's currency. We like the services and the products we are selling to each other. We don't, you know, what do we need with the World Trade Organization for? We don't need them. So the World Trade Organization is like, okay, Africa. No, 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 no. But what is it that Nigeria is going to trade with the world? Your oil, the big boys are there because they need the oil because it's cheap for them and they can easily get it. Are they going to buy Nigerian cocoa? Are they going to buy Nigerian timber, which you don't process? They can buy it because it's raw material. You just cut it and pay you for nothing and take it and go add value to it. So what is the value add? Is Ngozi going to tell the company now, okay, you must go and trade with Nigeria. You must go and trade with oh, heck no. They say, shut up, madam. Who are you? Because you don't make your bottom line. What you're saying, it has to be, relevant to our bottom line. Every company is there to do what? To make a profit. So, and they will start with the countries until they run into regulations that limit their ability. They might now seek ways to overcome it on a bilateral level. When you go multilateral, okay, but oftentimes trade is something between two people, between two nations. Is it not how it works?
Yeah.
Yeah, you start two. Now, we can add somebody else, you can add somebody else, then you can create your own regional trade zone. But the first thing is two people start to trade. You know how long, is that Belgium or Holland? One of those Scandinavian. You know how long they've been trading with Japan? 400 years plus. And they have never had a dispute. So is what trade organization is going to come in now and say, okay, hey, what you guys do? Excuse me. So, I'm happy for Africans having visibility, but my God, I want to be able to fly on Cameroonian Airlines and buy shares in Cameroonian Airlines because it's a viable airlines, or Ethiopian Airlines, or Rwanda, a regional African, airline. Just when we buy shares in them. That's how we can impact. Because when you exchange what is the exchange rate of your of dollar to Cameroonian money? So if you can, what's that exchange rate?
Currently, it's like $1 to 500, 510.
Okay, so if you for you to be a millionaire in Cameroon, you need $2,000. Okay, so
Yeah.
can you imagine? You can afford $10,000 to put it in a company, not send it to your family, and buy shares in those company, and then go over there and change their governance rule. And select CEOs or managing directors who will do something for the company. So if you have this number of Cameroonians, Africans buying shares in those companies, boom, you get control. You begin to shape the things they do. But we don't do that because those institutions are lousy. So that's where we the Black Africans in America start to look at, okay, how many companies in Africa can we actually take interest in and start to help them to get listed or look at their governance rules and say, hey, we want to buy shares. Because when you buy the controlling shares, you can change whoever is, what is it called? CEO. But we're not doing it. We send money to our family members and they go drink beer and they call us and complain some more and we send more money. Do you get a return anytime you send money to your family members? No, I mean, I'm not asking you personally, but I'm just saying most Africans, all you're doing, and they keep complaining that we make Western Union rich.
Right.
We said.
So another question there for you. I think we have touched on the first part. What do you think is a takeaway from Ms. Ngozi's appointment? What's your recommendation for immigrants trying to get ahead in the value system? And I have a problem with value system. What value system are we talking about, and what is that?
Value is when you come to the table. Okay, if I'm working on a water project or real estate project or something, the value is, what are you going to say to make me want to include you in my project? That's the value. Do you have relationship? Do you know the policy? Can you help me get one, two, or three done? That's value. I'm not talking about cultural value of doing it the other way. No, The value I'm talking about is how do you make a company take interest in you that they want to say, I want Lamberts to be part of my team. That's the value. Can you help them, achieve this goal to the benefit of you and them and everybody? Because remember, it's profit driven. I love capitalism. I don't want a socialist anything. I don't want communism. I don't want government to tell me how much food I'm going to produce or when I'm going to produce it. I want to be able to produce it and sell it to the market without gouging people. So again, back to Ngozi, I have no expectation of what she's going to do. And I want to be wrong 5 years from now and see Africa, as part of the world great trading routes. But it's not going to be because of Ngozi. It's going to be because of countries now recognizing who do we trade with and what. Have you read the book, How We Trade?
No.
Okay. Maybe let's talk about how we trade next time, because I can tell you how these Asian countries were able to come into America and have a market share. Hyundai. When did Hyundai come to America? Oh, yeah, all these South Korean cars. It came into America in the late 90s. Everybody laughed at them. Oh my God, we're not going to touch that. Just like they laughed at Toyota. Do you know what they did?
No.
They said to American consumer, 100,000 miles, 10-year warranty. Nobody has ever given American people that value of 100,000 miles and 10 years warranty. And if you don't like it, bring it back. Americans say, huh? 100,000 miles, 10 years? They started buying their car. Guess what? Are they not now part of their big market? They have a market penetration. Their product have changed significantly because now the customers were able to critique the product, and they went back to their drawing board with their engineers and they started to improve on the aesthetics and the comfort and the appeal. Today, you see some of their cars on the road, you think it's luxurious car, but they have been doing this for less than 20 years. So what products has any African country shipped to America and said, hey, are we even selling to, the African American community here spend 1 point, which includes us, because when they say black, they don't separate our own. $1.5 trillion. That's what 40%, 45% of us black people in America spend annually. Do you know if an African country can say, hey, you know what, we want 10% of that market share? What can we sell them that means quality? What is 10% of that money? Is it not like 150 billion? Huh?
Yeah.
Hold on. So if you look at all the trade Africa does in America, it's not 100 billion. But you can target your own segment. You have 45 million. There is no other black nation, no other nation in the world that has a concentration and well-to-do population of black people than America. You can find it in, what is it called, Argentina or Brazil. You can't. They're not in Russia. Black population is big. They're not in England. They're not in Germany. They're not in China. It's America. And we haven't been able to find out a way to plug into this huge market with our own products and services. So as they're buying from us, we're buying from them. We're creating opportunity for manufacturing and product improvement and all of that back there. That's where we should put our effort, and not because somebody got a job at the World Bank.
So Dr. Chu again says, from your experience, what then can we do to increase our value? Education used to be a huge factor in increasing value, something that you have talked about on this show a lot, that we like to read books, we are not scholars. Nowadays, that has morphed into entrepreneurship or trustworthiness, like you mentioned. So
I like this guy already. Tell him that I like him.
Dr. Chu, you're listening. So
No. But what I'm saying is that these things has to come from the individual appetite. Lambert, I always tell people, I say the degree I don't have is the one I don't need. I don't go to school in want of degrees. I go to school in want of needs to address certain things. I'm never going to know everything. Nobody is. But I know enough to plug myself into any situation. I'm not a water engineer. I'm working with a major engineering firm now to do something. I'm not in healthcare. I'm doing that for a company out of Nebraska. I'm not in so many things, but I know enough to participate in anything that is going to address a human need. That's why it's a solution. Remember, everything we do has to surround about how do we address the need of a human being. Is it in housing? Is it in food? Is it in security, police? Is it in infrastructure so they can get up and get in their car and drive? We have to build the roads. Is it in services, or if they have issues, which is we have to get a legal system to address that? That's everything surrounds a human being. So what are the needs? And what do we do to address those needs? That's how you build economy. You don't build economy from a desk job. You build it from participation and production and having legislations to address how to get this thing done. Money comes after need. If you have a good project, in fact, when I was talking to this engineering firm today, you know what they told me? He said, hey, if you bring any project you bring that is good, we don't worry about financing it. Because that's what money is. In economics, money attracts itself. In science, the opposite attracts. So if you have a good idea, money is always going to want to attach to it. Or if you put up your own money, another money is going to want to attach. So those are the two things you have to have. Okay, Africans, we may not have the money, but we have money to go to Paris and with our girlfriends and do shopping in Dubai. But we don't have money to build roads. Isn't that something? So we got to be able to put up our money or put up our idea, and people are going to invest in those ideas. People invest in my ideas not because I write them a check, of course, but I say, hey, okay, Edward, what would it take for you to be part of what we're doing? How can we get you involved? And then you go in there, everything is a sacrifice. You got to make the initial sacrifice, but if you're looking for a job, which many people should, because, you have bills to pay, then you got to be able to satisfy that need. But while you're doing that, always begin to, expand your scope and increase your horizon and start to talk about what you want to do. People are always, don't talk too much. You are, Africans who don't talk because you're bragging. But when Jesus was alive, Lambert, was he not talking?
He talked.
No. Did he not tell you that he can make the blind see? He can make water into wine. Did he do that by keeping quiet?
No.
And he demonstrated it by doing it. He came to somebody's house and they say, "Oh, we have a party. We have no wine." He said, "Don't worry about it." Didn't he turn water into wine?
Of course.
Okay, so why should you be quiet about talking about what you're going to do? Why should you? You have to talk about it because somebody might say, "Oh, I like him." If somebody don't like you, Lambert, do them a favor. Don't like them back. That's what I do. If you don't like me, I don't like you back. We cancel each other out. Everybody goes on.
So thank you so much. Again, another spirited conversation, and your new friend says, very true. I like your thought process. We must identify the necessity and need. I think we Africans have minimized the value of our need or necessity. The white man sees opportunity in every problem or need, whereas the black man sees a problem in every opportunity. That's
like I told you, I like this guy. You see, Africans see problems, Americans see opportunities.
Right.
Because when something, if you take something as an opportunity, that's a challenge. You are now challenged. But if you say, "Oh, it's a problem," there's a psychological thing when you say it's a problem, as opposed to when I say, "Oh, this is an opportunity." We don't have water. It's an opportunity. So if necessity is the mother of invention, how come Africans haven't invented anything? Because they see a problem. Americans see opportunity. In fact, America loves things to go wrong because that's an opportunity for them to do something new. So the human needs is ongoing, 24/7, 365. It doesn't change. You look at how we started and how America started. In 1990, when I worked for FDIC, you know how many computers that were in the regional office, Lambert?
No.
10. And I had one because I was a regional manager. I didn't even know how to turn it on. So look at how personal computer and other sorts of computing has penetrated our life. How long ago was that? 32 years ago, 31 years ago. So America hasn't been all this great, but they've been working on themselves becoming great. No, typewriter. I used to write something and give it to my secretary to now go in and type it and bring it back to me. But now everybody's doing word processing. 10 computers in the regional office of FDIC in 1990. And I had one of them. I just put it on my desk as a furniture piece. I thought it was a TV.
So, I mean, my last question to you before we close is, yes, you find this opportunity, but there's some suffocating environment that prevents this opportunity that you have found to blossom because of the environment itself. And I think that's what we have been talking about in terms of, hey, we live in the United States. There are some issues that prevent us from pushing ourselves forward. You just talked about bills, for example. Yes, we have to pay bills, we have to do this. What do we need to break out from that mindset where we take advantage of the opportunity, use the entrepreneurship, and then go to greater heights?
Well, again, I don't know what your subject was in school, but it doesn't matter. You know what? There's what they call opportunity cost. Okay. What are you willing to give up in search of what you want?
I studied philosophy, so.
Eh?
I said I studied philosophy, so go ahead.
Okay, but opportunity cost, it applies to every situation.
Right.
So what are you willing to give up in order for something you think you need? So Africans need to ask that question. Okay, I'm able to do what I do because I'm self-employed. If I work for somebody where I have to go from 8 to 9, 8 to 5, and come home. By the time I come home, I'm not going to have time to go, I'm just going to want to rest, talk to my wife, my kids, and get ready for the next day. But now I have made my own schedule. I gave up that. So it was an opportunity cost. And I said, I'm going to leave this government job of FDIC, and I'm going to go fend for myself. So I didn't know how I'm going to end up, but I'm glad that I did. And I'm glad I did it because you know what? When my father died in 1994, I was in Nigeria to visit him, December 93. He died January 94. If I was not working for myself, I wouldn't have the time to go back to Nigeria March of that same year and stay for 6 weeks to do my father's funeral. Because I have already taken my vacation time. But because I work for myself, I was like, okay, I'm gone. It was an opportunity cost, an investment in the future I made, few years before my father passed. Because there was no way if I was working for FDIC, they're going to give me 6 weeks to go to Nigeria. They would say, you know what? Oh, sorry about your dad, but when you come back, they would have made changes. They ain't going to wait for you for 6 weeks. They will replace your job. So most Africans are going to say, okay, let me send money, let you guys take it. No. I was glad to be there. I was holding my father when he passed, and I was the one also that put him in the ground. Because I had the time, and because he told me to get over there and go do something for yourself. So he did. I saw the benefit, and he too knew, hey, I want my son to be here when anything happens, and I was glad to be there. So we gotta look at that. What is the next move? What do you see what do you see yourself doing in the next 5 years? Because that's a reasonable time we can make a forecast. What do you want to do? So you ask that question. Who do you want to network with? I don't socialize, I network. So we talk about that. And, if you were in Dallas, if anytime I'm going to my project meeting, I will invite you so that you can sit in the room and hear how this thing is done. If you don't know how people contributed money to buy a cow, don't ask them for any part of the meat because they ain't going to give it to you. Invest in buying the cow. So that way you can say, hey, I want the neck. But if you don't invest in it, you wait for the thing. They can just give you the cow tail. And then you start complaining, oh, Jesus loves us. It's like, heck no. Jesus then has nothing to do with this. This is the cow. We contributed money to buy it. You know, that's how life is. You want to be in the room. You want to be part of a group that made a decision on how to do something. And you know, from one person to the other, people will always refer good resources. If I do business with you, me and you, me and you like me, if anything comes up, you, hey, by the way, talk to Lambert, talk to Edward. That's what America is about. There's no America is the easiest country to live in if you figure out how to relate to them. Very easy, because they are always looking for something exciting or something new. You know, there was one time I met, you have heard about the Ross Perot family?
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the big families in Dallas. There was a program at the Federal Reserve Bank, and the son, was the guest speaker. At the end, somebody asked me a question, say, how do you guys choose the project you do? He said, it has to be big, and it has to be challenging. That's the kind of thing we want. That's it. He didn't tell you we want to make $1 billion. It has to be something that we are sure we're going to make money. He said, no, the project has to be exciting. It has to be something nobody has ever done. And then we'll put our team together and we go after it. That's the difference of being an entrepreneur's mind as of being somebody who's just been waiting to be told what to do. What's that entrepreneurial drive? What's your vision? What do you see? If you want to build road, if you want to say, hey, we want to build 5,000 miles in Cameroon so that Cameroonians can move around, or Nigerians or Togolese or whomever, shoot, boom. That's big. We design it. Do we have the engineers? Okay, no. Can we bring in some engineers to come in and just set up the framework? Because these things can be copied and pasted. If you're a pilot in Cameroon who can fly 777, he can fly it in America. Is it not the same thing?
It is. Mm-hmm.
It is the same engineering. It's the same shifting. You go at a certain speed, you pull something up, and the airplane takes off. But the point is, can you make an aviation business out of that? Now, that's why we start to talk about policy, building the facility, giving the people the comfort to buy tickets to fly in your airplane. And not because an African is the first to fly 777. Shoot, I can go get any kid in my village and say, I want you to be a pilot, and pay for them to go to pilot school. In 6 weeks, they can go fly any airplane. Because it's the engineering, you know what I mean? They say, this is what you do, this is what you do, you take it off. And once you take it off, but the thing is, when that airplane is in the air, there's a cost factor to it. How do I recover that cost? How many passengers do I have to have in that airplane in order to do what? Pay for the landing fee, pay for the crew, pay for everything, and return money to my investors. It's a business model. Can you make a business case out of that? That's it. Make a business case out of everything. Talk about revenue. Okay, we know we gotta go, but let me tell you, a few years ago, I was in a group again about some Americans that wanted to do something. They were all engineers. And we were having a meeting at the Ericsson's office. Ericsson, the Ericsson people, the telephone, they were, in Plano, Texas. They were talking, and I kept quiet. You know what I said?
Yeah.
I said, you guys have not addressed the revenue model. And it's like, what do you mean? I say, if you cannot attach money to this, nobody's going to look at your technical report. And that's why they won the contract. That single business model. Where is the money? Show me the money, Lambert. Show me the money, not the title. I don't care about title. Show me the money. They won the contract, and it was a big one. And now they're going to have to pay me. That's a value. Because they were talking engineering, and my wife is an engineer, electrical engineer. That's the closest to engineering I want to be. I don't want to do anything more. That's it. She's the closest. I'm not about revenue. So when I come and say, honey, because my wife is very structured, she's very step by step. I'm just like, I'm from A to Z. My wife is from B to Y. She makes sure. I said, I'm good. I said, I don't have the patience. I don't have the patience. But this is where I'm ending up with this. Where is the money at the end? Who am I going to borrow from? Who am I going to pay back? Can I generate revenue to do that? And then she said, okay, how about this? I said, no, you fill in the blanks. Remember the English language? Fill in the
Fill in the
blanks with the
blanks.
appropriate words.
Right. So again,
I enjoy the conversation. This is not to put anybody down. I mean, I cheer my people. I take pride in seeing my people do. But you know what? A few years ago, I wrote an article, and the title was "Blood Does Not Lie." You know what? You know the purpose of that paper? I looked at the African American and I looked at the African. They do the same thing. Look at all the black people that play college football. Still, you don't have black colleges that have an endowment of $1 billion. Okay? You look at all the black people that work in most corporations. You still don't have any company owned by a black person that's listed on the stock exchange. Okay? But anytime a black person makes a CEO, you see in the Ebony magazine, it's on the news. Is it not the same thing Africans do? We go play Italian football, English football. Do we own the team?
no.
So that's why I say blood does not lie. Even though centuries of separation, we're still doing the same thing. Because we have not learned how to own it. We gotta own it, Lambert. We gotta own it. If you own it, you control who comes in. Don't look for leveled playing field. Go find you a field, level it, and play on it. We are fond
Yeah.
of looking for level playing field. Somebody's already done it. Put us in there. No, go find you a field, level it, and set your own rules.
Wow. Thank you very much, Dr. Chu. Yes, big problems bring big value. I think the problem we face in Africa, or our mindset, is we hardly get to see our mothers work. So it has been a wonderful conversation this evening. We were celebrating the journey of Dr. Ngozi as a director of the World Trade Organization and putting it within a certain context that we shouldn't end just celebrating, but look at what is the value. Show me the money, to use the phrase that has been used here this evening. Show me the money. And this is for us to change our mindset. African immigrants in the United States, across the world, in Europe, wherever. These conversations are meant to enhance our capacities so that we can build a niche, build a network, build a good network. Then we can begin to impact the changes that we want on the continent. Any last words, Okpa?
Well, again, thank you for the conversation. This is not a debate. This is not a lecture. I don't lecture. I like your probing questions. I like your challenging questions. But the thing again is that we have to recognize we have what everybody else has, and if we are not packaging it and putting it out front and was wanting what people already have built on, then we become beggars or we become doormats. Thank God this is not 70 years ago, or, when Africans were not going to school. In the past 50 years, you name any university in any reasonable country, an African has gone through. So we've gotten the ABCD, we've gotten 1+1. We've married white people, they have married us. We have flown airplanes, we have owned airplanes. But if we have all of those things, how come I cannot get in my car and drive to Yaoundé? Have fun, visit, stay in a hotel, turn around and go in somewhere else. Because of public safety, because Africans haven't understood the resources they have lying in wait amongst them. They're still looking for some, I guess, those who came in and taught us about Jesus Christ with a picture of a white person, confused us so much because we now look for a white person to come and address the issue that are facing us. But God chose us as black, but we're still looking for white or looking for Asians. How many Africans have become billionaires in China or in India or in Pakistan or in Lebanon? But they come into Africa with a plastic bag, and the next thing, what do? They are rich. Because The things we overlook is the things they take advantage of. So let's look inward. For those people who get the jobs at the World Bank and the UN, good for you. But shoot, if I'm sick in Nigeria, I ain't looking for you, a World Health Organization hospital. I'm looking for a functioning hospital in Nigeria that would treat me as a patient, and I will pay them. I'm not World Health Organization. I don't care for those things. They set up these organizations to impress Black people. At the end of the day, we ain't got nothing for it. NFL, how many Black people are playing in the NFL? How many Black people own it? 70% of Black people play in the NFL, but there is no owner. Huh, Lambert? Is it not the case?
So again, thank you very much. For Emmanuel says thank you for a very enriching discussion, Coach K. We continue to celebrate Dr. Ngozi. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again. It's been a wonderful evening. We'll continue these conversations, like I said, every Wednesday, time 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We normally just speak on one topic and just run on. Today, we just put in place how to celebrate African success and how to put that in perspective. Thank you all. And again, if you are just joining us, you can watch this show immediately after this on Facebook. You can like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just type Lambert Mbom and you get to my YouTube channel. Thank you all. And again, see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Thank you.